Hey everyone! In my video on how to make a paper mache deer head, one of the optional materials that I mentioned was air drying paper clay. The stuff that I used was homemade, and it was my first time making and using that type of clay, but I really enjoyed working with it, so I thought I would teach you guys how to make some of your own. I found the recipe for this clay on ultimatepapermache.com, and if you're interested in this kind of stuff, then you should definitely go check it out. She has a bunch of tutorials and recipes for various different paper mache things, so it's definitely a great resource. Anyway, let's get started. You'll need 1/2 cup of wet toilet paper. If you're using a scale, then it will measure to 24 grams dry and then 110 grams when it's wet. 1/2 cup or 200 grams of joint compound, 1/2 cup or 130 grams of Elmer's glue, 1/2 cup or 70 grams of cornstarch, 3 tablespoons of baby oil, and 1/2 cup or 70 grams of all-purpose flour to start. It's hard to measure it without the scale because each manufacturer makes their toilet papers differently. Some are thicker, some are thinner. For some brands, the amount of toilet paper that you need for this recipe will be the whole roll, but for the toilet paper I used, it was about 2/3 of the roll. Soak the toilet paper for a few minutes in some warm water until it falls apart, and then strain the water out. Squeeze the excess water out until it weighs 110 grams. Break up your paper into your mixer. You can also use a handheld mixer. Add all of your other ingredients and mix together. I should note that you should only use a mixer that's dedicated towards crafts only, no food. To help accurately measure out the glue and joint compound without dirtying measuring cups, I lined them with saran wrap and measured what I needed and used the saran wrap to transfer the stuff to the bowl, like so. Initially I used a whisk to mix everything together, but then I switched to a dough hook about halfway through. You could probably start with just the dough hook if you don't want to dirty a whisk. Once you've added everything, if it's still a bit too wet or sticky, then slowly add more flour, up to about 3/4 of a cup. If it's too dry, just add a bit of water until it's the desired consistency. Dump the clay onto a surface dusted with corn flour and knead it for a few minutes. This is the consistency that you'll want. This stuff is pretty great. It takes a lot of detail and you can make it pretty thin. Once it's dried, it's pretty strong and you can sand it down, carve into it, anything like that. Store it in an airtight container. I wrapped mine in saran wrap and then stuck it in a Ziploc bag. And there you go, all done. I hope you liked this project. If you did, please hit that like button. If you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. I post DIY videos every Thursday. You can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Pinterest. And don't forget to check out ultimatepapermache.com. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next week.